Hi guys, thank you for tuning in into my channel. I'm gonna make a video explaining what my understanding is about the ego and how to target the ego and how to work the ego and all that kind of fun stuff. I want to start by first saying that my name is Celia and I finally gave in to this whole spiritual journey that I've been on for a while. And I decided that it's time for me to share the things that I have learned and the trajectory and everything that I have been through. So these past couple of weeks, I've been studying this topic, and I want to share some information with you. Hopefully it will help you understand this topic a little more in depth, since everybody talks about the ego, and sometimes it's hard to really understand or grasp the whole idea around what the ego is and why it's important for us to understand how it affects our daily lives. So first, we're going to start with what the ego is and how to identify it. And most of the time is based on fear. Our ego, or let's not say our ego, it's just the ego. It's there because it wants to keep us safe from a situation or something that we think is a belief that we have buried underneath. So for instance, we doesn't just say somebody who wants to get a new job, and it's very upset or tired of the job that it has, then sometimes if the person is having trouble trying to look for a job, or somehow they self-sabotage interviews or new opportunities that arise to them, then there must be something, a belief underneath, buried underneath, that is causing the ego to take effect, because probably the person doesn't feel safe leaving that job, because that's what brings the security to their life, is what brings them to safety, So hopefully this hopefully this explanation is or example is clear. But the ego can be very tricky, because we can be seeking approval, admiration, attention, and the feeling of importance, like, am I important if I do such and such? It's kind of a sense of self-worth. So sometimes, basically, we have to ask our question, why do we do this? Why do I have to clean the house? Am I trying to please someone? Why do I have to see this friend, when I feel like I want to stay home and sleep? Do I want to please this friend? Or why am I into this relationship? I'm giving 100%. This person is giving 20, 30%. Am I putting myself in the line just because I want this to work, but it's not there? And, so we're seeking approval, attention, or admiration. So I went a little bit in depth, and I was looking to see the definition online. And the definition that I found, it says person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So this helps us to understand a little bit more about the ego. Do I feel important if such and such? How does my self-esteem feels if I do this or that, so that's just to help us identify the ego, because it has many faces, it has many different ways to show up in our life. And sorry that my throat is a little, but anyways, it's it's a way for us to help us identify this. So the ego is the part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious, and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. So basically, that was the first thing I said at the beginning, is with what we identified with. And really meditate on this. Perhaps a good exercise to do will be to sit down and write down, how do you identify yourself? Do you identify yourself as an outgoing person, or as has a very happy person, or a very sad person, or a very responsible person, or a very I don't know, whatever is it that you identify with, and why do you identify with that? What happens if you want to be responsible? Let's say, for instance, what happens if you identify yourself as being a beautiful person? What happens if one day you want to be ugly? And then you will see what the fear is buried underneath that. I don't want to be ugly because I feel, or I fear that people won't accept me. So we're going back to the admiration, seeking approval. So if we are identifying these things, and guys, I tell you, when we do self, this is the thing with spirituality and this topic. Like, everybody's talking about it, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I want to be spiritual, I want to be like, feeling in bliss all the time, and this and that. But they don't talk about this whole in work. Some people do, actually. I've seen some pretty good videos about people talking about this, but it requires a lot of inside work. Let's stop focusing on the person living with us, or the person in front of us, or the co-worker, or your mom, or your dad, your husband, whatever. Start focusing on yourself, because that's what's going to get you there in this spiritual journey. And the minute that you start working on yourself, on your ego, and everything else that hopefully I'll be speaking in this channel, the better, the more clear that you start seeing things, and the less affected that you will be by the actions of others, because then you understand where they're coming from. So sometimes I have a friend that he was telling me that he wanted to understand people, and I said, look, if you want to understand people, then start with yourself. Because basically, if you understand yourself, then you won't be affected by others. The reason why you want to understand people is because you want to feel secure, So it's all these things that comes part of our ego that sometimes it just seems very innocent. And we really need to go in depth and understand why the ego is there, and, how do we manage this ego problem or situation? Let's not say it's a problem. It's just, it's there because, it's part of being a human, but it's not everything. So we need to be able to understand it. And once we understand it and we open our eyes to see it, identify it, then we can work on it. So why does the ego matter so much nowadays? Everybody's talking about, like all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, the ego here, the ego that, And it matters because to me it's a mask that we have. And we need to take that mask off in order for us to flourish, to be ourselves, and to show to the world that it's okay to be ourselves. We need to stop pleasing others and do from our hearts. That doesn't mean that we're going to go around and shutting people off and like slapping some faces around. No. We need to stop focusing on the others and focusing in ourselves, inside of us, because that's how we're going to change the world, people. We're not going to change the world by changing people around. We're going to change the world if we change ourselves, because when you change yourself, everything around you is a mirror and everything will change. Trust me, this is so true. I've seen it in my life so many times, and it's so worth to do the inner work. If you don't change, nothing is going to change around you. And it's a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not easy peasy, because sometimes we don't want to see certain things, certain shadows that we have. But once you face the shadow and then you figure that you are still alive, that you are, even happier and being yourself and feel free, guys. Feeling free of all that stuff is so worth it. So anyways, let's not get off topic here, but it's basically a programming that has been manipulated since we were born. And when I say manipulated, don't start saying, oh my God, my parents or my school or whatever. No, let's stop blaming people, because it was that way because it needed to be that way for you. And you will understand this at some point in your life, that whatever happened throughout your, until now, it has happened that way for many reasons, by choices that you made, by, because you needed it that way. And if you don't understand it now, you will understand it later. But let's just understand now that it's a programming that you have. So maybe when you were little, somebody said to you, oh, I'm going to, talk about myself. Women should act this way. Women should not argue or should not be loud. They should always be ladylike, So if I have that belief implanted in my mind, early on, then sometimes it's hard to get to it, So that's why we have to question every single thing we do, even if it seems like the most innocent thing, has to why do I have to take a shower before I go to bed? What's the belief buried underneath? And sometimes, it might be just something that you don't see a necessity to change. But if you do feel that is not serving you well, or it's causing the ego to feel important, because if you don't shower, then what, you're gonna feel like a piggy, or so what's the feeling underneath that, and so what, so what, I'm not gonna take a shower tonight because I want to see if my ego, I'm feeling that uncomfortableness. Then you start making progress, because then you start saying, I didn't shower tonight and I'm still alive and I'm being more myself, and then you start discovering that there was a belief underneath and it's affecting you somehow. So that's just a simple example, just to tell you that ego can really hide in many different ways. And it's a big task to identify the ego. Just question everything you do. Why do I do it? What would happen if I don't do it? What feelings does this gives me? Is this something that satisfies my soul and true happiness? like taking a shower at night. If it does satisfies you and you feel good about it and everything, then, you might be my guest. But if you feel that you want to test this out and say, okay, what would happen if I don't shower tonight? Then do it so that you can see the difference. And also, does this gives me a feeling of freedom, That's also another question that you can ask yourself. So once you identify it, you know what to do. And this is very important, guys, because sometimes it's hard to get to it. But try to identify the belief that's rooted as to why you believe you need that. And once you find it, once you find out, question it. Why do I still need to believe this? Do I still need to believe that, if I don't shower, then I'm a nasty person, or I'm dirty? Or do I have to believe that if, I don't know, if I don't, whatever it is, what would happen? And once you identify that it's no longer serving you, then, it's gone. It just let it go, make a ritual or whatever works for you to let that go. Now there is something that I really wanna tell you. There are exercises you can do. There are things that you can work on yourself, on your own. And there are times, guys, and we have to be honest with ourselves, but there are times that we need help from someone. And sometimes those beliefs are buried underneath us, and we cannot identify why, why we feel this way, why, the ego can go on for a lot, because however long you've lived, you have created a lot of beliefs in your heart. So this can be going for a long time, and sometimes we have things that can be from past lives, or can be from something that happened to us when we were not 100% conscious, like when you were in your mother's womb, or when you were a baby. And it's interesting, but things like this happen. So when we identify a belief or identify something that it's bothering us, and it's causing us not to be free, that's when we can identify it by doing exercises, by practicing, by trying to do everything that we can. Then my suggestion, guys, is to seek for help, and seek good help. Maybe a good therapist that can help you dig, because they have so much experience in regards of this. Some of them do regressions, and regressions are a great tool that they can do or use to help the person identify a problem, or bring it up, especially if it's from a past life or something that you don't have true conscience about it. Because sometimes, when something really strong happened to us, our brain protects us from it in a way that it makes us forget what happened. And I'm gonna tell you an experience that I heard from a psychologist I follow. She is from Mexico. Her name is Blanca Mercado. If you want to look her up, she's amazing. But she tells the story about a woman who she resent her mom, and she had a fear in deep buried in her of abandonment. Sorry if I'm not saying the word right. English is my second language, as you may see. So she had a very strong fear of abandonment, and of feeling abandoned, left, by her mom or whoever, so she couldn't really, get into a relationship. It was affecting her a lot, and she couldn't get to the bottom of it. So when she went to this psychologist, or she's like I think she's a psychologist. So anyways, she was in session with her, and when she was talking to her, of course, they have a ton of exercises they can do to help the patient or the person to go deep into their subconscious. And she said that all of a sudden she thought about this memory she forgot. And the memory was that her mom was cooking, and she was a young, little girl. And she came around to play with her mom and like ask her mom to give her a hug. But her mom was cooking. So all of a sudden her mom pushed her away. And then somebody took her mom away for some days. So she couldn't remember what happened when she was a little girl. She just felt like her mom left her. But when she remembered that during the session, she remembers that what happened to her mom when that situation happened. And it was that her mom was cooking. So when the little girl approached her, something happened, like I guess it unbalanced her or something happened, that the pot fell off the stove and her mom pushed her so that she wouldn't get burned. But for her, by doing that and pushing her away and everything, she ended up getting burned really bad. So she had to spend around a whole week at the hospital with severe burns, getting healed and everything. And she started crying. She said that, oh my God, I never remembered this. And this is why I have this feeling rooted inside of me, because her interpretation when she was a little girl was that her mom left her, and she felt insecure since then. And that is perfectly normal, guys. Like, that can happen to anybody. We interpret things in so many ways that and then it causes us to believe a lie inside of us. It was a lie that her mom didn't love her and left her, but she truly believed that because she was a girl, and with the eyes of a little girl, that's what she thought it truly happened. It was not up until she internalized that with this psychologist, that she figured out that her belief was in a total lie. And we guys, I'm telling you, I promise you that most, or pretty much all of them, all of the beliefs that you have in there, or things that your ego have, is based on a lie. So once we figured that within ourselves, and we moved on, and we, I'm saying, if you need help from someone, then seek it. It's worth it. And if you want to work on this on your own, then do it. I've been doing this on my own, and I have found so many wonderful people online, psychologists that I follow, and people giving out their knowledge and their understanding of things, and it has helped me a lot, guys. Like, this spiritual journey is truly amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it. And guys, if you have any questions, please write it down. I try to get to everybody. I don't have many people in my channel, so I'll probably get to you quick. But until this, hopefully one day this video gets to be seen multiple times. But if you are here now, today, then you're meant to hear this message. And thank you so much for getting up to this point. I try to be as brief as possible, but, some topics are just like, very extensive. And this is one of them, because it can go on for hours. So there is no unique recipe for all. Everybody is going to need different techniques and different ways, So seek what works for you. If it's talking to somebody, even if it's just a friend, do it. If it's talking to yourself in the mirror, then do it. If it's seeking information, then do it. Whatever it is. And keep that in mind about the past lives and pre-birth experiences and experiences that happened to us early on when we, we're not really remembering everything when we're little. So that comes into, plays a huge game into our subconscious and our beliefs that are implanted in there. And I hope this video was very helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great and wonderful day. Take 3 deep breaths and think about everything that you do, why you do it, and if it's serving you any good. Thank you. Much love to you. Bye-bye.